What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fourth and Goal, your weekly injury digest, part of the Injury Experts channel. My name is Rahul. I'm the injury analyst out here and joined by our doctor of physical therapy, Dave. A lot of injuries. Ridley, Penix, Drake. Whoa, it's piling up. What's up?
Not much, man. I mean, I feel like all the kind of lack of injuries that we've had so far earlier in the season, they're really starting to accumulate now. And, if this is your first time here, Raul and I have been doing this pretty much since preseason, just about. We do initial injury reports. So this comes out every Wednesday. We just go kind of condense all this information based off the reports that we've seen so far today. If you're looking for a final injury report kind of roundup, Dr. Morse usually releases that on either Thursday afternoon, evening, or sometime on Friday. So keep your eyes and ears pinned out for that. But thanks for joining us.
Yep, awesome. Well, big news. I mean, I'm excited. We have to start with quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, full practice today, out of nowhere. Nobody expected. I mean, I don't know. One side of me says he has to play. The other side, I'm like, should he play this season?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, like, because the division's still kind of up for grabs, hard to believe, right? That they're sitting at like 3-7. But the leader of that division, they're only 2 games out. And I think we mentioned last week that his return, his like target date was Thanksgiving, but the fact that he already has a full practice in already this week, I mean, if he has no setbacks, I think it's really feasible that he could really play on
But
Sunday.
what are the risk of re-injury if he plays this week or even like next week?
I mean, it's definitely heightened. I wouldn't say it's anything too crazy significant because I mean there's a return to sport criteria that he has to pass like a series of tests that his PTs and rehab team and ultimately the surgeon and doctor team physician will have to clear him in order to return. But yeah, still, even though he'll be at a heightened injury risk, if he passes those series of tests, I mean, and they're still in it, they're absolutely gonna throw him out there. So I mean, that just elevates the floor and ceiling for really the entire offense. Of course, me being a Jamar Chase owner, I'm not happy that he's going to miss this week with the potential Joe Burrow return on the horizon. But hopefully we get to feast on that for the next few weeks moving forward here.
And they have a tough matchup. New England is rocking
Yeah.
and rolling right now, so we'll see what happens. And a couple of other housekeeping quarterback. I think Dak Prescott was in the injury report. Nothing too concerning there. And the other one was CJ Stroud out for Thursday night football, dealing with the concussion and another concussion. Dylan Gabriel out there. And do you think Dylan Gabriel gets cleared, or are we going to see a Sanders opening week 12?
Yeah, so I think the word came out a little bit later today that I don't think it was it could have been possible for Dylan Gabriel to get cleared, but I think Kevin Stefanski came out and said today that Shador Sanders is going to start this week for Cleveland. I mean, he's got like a not a bad matchup for first really start to prepare for it against the Vegas Raiders. And I think, his lack of first team's reps really showed last week. So maybe, they're thinking, hey, get him a full week of practice with the ones and hopefully have a better performance this week. But I don't know about your leagues, but I mean the Vegas Raiders defense slash special teams was picked up in like all my leagues. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable starting them. But I mean, hey, if you're pretty desperate and have lack of better options, I mean, you could try it. But I don't know. It just that matchup just stinks all around to
I
me.
think, and then the other one, CJ Stroud, I think Thursday night football, they just rested him because he didn't have a full practice. And
Yeah.
he'll be back for week 13, so no issues there. And Dak Prescott, it's just like a weekly thing. He'll be fine. No issues there either.
Yeah. That one, I think Coach Schottenheimer came out and said he's going to be on the injury report. He really downplayed the significance of it. They said it's a hip injury. For me as a PT and someone in the medical field, that sounds like a hip pointer. A hip pointer just really is a bruise to like your bony part of the hip, almost where like your love handle sits. A lot of the times that happens from a direct kind of impact, falling on it in football or getting hit by a defensive lineman, direct contact. So he's probably just dealing with a little bruising. But that might limit his mobility a little bit, but he's still likely to play against my Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming week.
Yep. And plus, we all know Dak Prescott has his hip flexor exercise, so he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I have
Yeah.
full trust. Uh, Two big ones this past week. Michael Penix. Let's start with that. Unfortunate. He's out for the season, and they said like it's like a partial ACL tear.
Yep,
I don't know, but he still has to go undergo surgery, and
yep,
so now we're looking at a 2026 profile for him, and looks like this is on his other leg because in college his right leg he had an ACL tear on his right leg twice, so he's
yep.
already injury prone, and now his left leg. I don't know. Long term value, Penix, unfortunate, good player, but this is
Yeah,
concerning.
I mean, very concerning. I mean, the Falcons invested heavily in him, and really their whole kind of year this year, right? They don't have a first round pick, so they're sitting at top 10. The Rams have their pick. I mean, the Rams likely to go deep in the playoffs, and they're going to have a top 10 pick. I mean, it's crazy, crazy good on their part. But for the Falcons, yeah, like you mentioned, if you watch us weekly, we mentioned a few weeks back when Penix was diagnosed with the bone bruise, we said there was heightened risk of potential ligamentous damage down the road. Sure enough, this is what happened. Like you mentioned, it is positive that it's on the other side, but now you're dealing between the two legs, three ACL tears. I mean, you got to think long term about his overall heightened injury risk, and just his road to recovery. I mean, he's going through another long, arduous rehab process, ACL standard 9 to 12 month repair. So, I mean, the Falcons got to do some heavy soul searching to see what their plan is moving forward. Because sometimes I don't think they really know what their plan is. But really unfortunate for Penix and the whole offense, really. Yeah, Kirk Cousins can play a little bit. But now, I mean, there's just some other injuries to that offense that we're going to get into. So I really think the sole beneficiary is Bijan Robinson. I think they're just going to lean more on their ground game at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah. And Falcons investing in players is just frustrating. 180 million to Kirk Cousins and over no, number 8 overall for Penix. That's like significant capital out there. So unfortunate situation. So hopefully he'll be back for 2026. He's good talent out there. Let's jump
Yep.
on to a QB who's retiring after the season. Aaron Rodgers, wrist fracture, slight fracture. I mean, I don't know, like those terms. You're probably better well versed in what that means. But there's still a chance he plays. Mike Tomlin didn't rule him out completely.
Yeah, I mean, the slight fracture tells me that, I mean, it's nothing like overly significant. It's probably, if you were looking at an X-ray, it's probably just a very, very small crack in the bone, almost like equivalent to like a mini like stress fracture, perhaps. Like you mentioned, it's 50-50. That's by all reports what are coming out. But you would have to imagine, yes, it's his left wrist, but remember, quarterbacks are going to hold on to the ball with two hands in the pocket. So grip strength is going to be impacted. I would be very surprised if they do a lot of like under center at this point, because I mean, if you quarterback, he's got his hands underneath the center, that left hand is going to be on top. So that's going to take a lot of the impact from the snap. I would expect more shotgun snaps. So we'll see. I mean, Aaron Rodgers having a decent season, but if he can't go, then you're dealing with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard would be the number two at that point. But I mean, that whole division, like we mentioned earlier, it's still up for grabs. I mean, Baltimore, Pittsburgh sitting there at 5-5, and somehow Cincinnati 3-7 with a potential Burrow return. So I'm sure Rodgers is going to push to play for that reason, but really pain tolerance might be his biggest thing. Can they get him a brace to protect it?
Yeah, and I think with that being said, Jaylen Warren, his running back, he's dealing with his own ankle injury because you would think with Aaron Rodgers' injury, running game is going to probably get picked up more. I think Gainwell's going to get more and more carries out here, and even like Caleb Johnson potentially. So let's talk about Jaylen Warren and running back segment.
Yeah. So Jaylen Warren said that he could have came back in the game, but was held out. So to me, that indicates a likely kind of mild ankle sprain. But again, you're going to monitor the practice reports, especially Thursday and Friday, to kind of see if he will be able to come back. And like you mentioned, even if he does return, for this week, I would expect more involvement, kind of running back by committee. Kenny Gainwell, my boy Kenny G out there, and then potentially those Caleb Johnson owners, if somehow you held on to him for this point, this whole length of the season, you may have some return on investment. It's not going to be crazy, but you may have some slight returns on investment there.
Yeah, but I think Jaylen Warren will pay through it. He's a trooper out
I agree.
there. Yep. And one of the big ones, Josh Jacobs, that was that was a little concerning just like watching the video out there when he hyperextends his knee. MRI was good, and the claims are it's likely a bruise. Do you think he plays? But all the fantasy apps, just looking at like the projections, they're all in on Emmanuel Wilson. Is that a sign that Josh Jacobs is not playing this week?
I would say so. To me, it seems like the way we're trending is I think Green Bay is going to play this a little smart and say, why don't you take the week to really rest and rehab? That way we can make sure that you're good for the stretch run. A bone bruise is nothing really to just, sneeze at and kind of shush away. It's, like we just said with Michael Penix, it's a bruise to the deep part of the bone. So that means there's either, kind of blood in the bone or around the bone. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. If the general population, if you and I had a bone bruise, I mean, it would probably be like a solid month before you're pain free. So think about a professional athlete, with their livelihood, 1 week off is still, when he returns, he's still going to be feeling it. So, I would expect him to likely sit this week. And even if he comes back next week, I think it'll be a slow ramp up until he officially retakes over that backfield.
Green Bay is pretty conservative when it comes to injuries, so I think they'll play this pretty safe as well. One running back who stood out last week before the injury, Bhayshul Tuten for the Jaguars, he crushed it. Oh my God, he was like killing it, and I think the injury looked worse than it was reported after. Looks like a ankle injury. They didn't specify if it's a high ankle or a lateral. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting if he's going to play this week, or is it like a long-term issue out there for Toten?
Yeah, like you said, unknown severity. We don't really know clarity of diagnosis. So all we can say is monitor the practice reports. Today, he was limited. So for us, the fact that you're getting limited work on a Wednesday, you should likely trend in the positive direction. But again, just monitor Thursday and Friday because it's really trending to a pretty even split and possibly with maybe Tootin kind of taking over down the
Potentially.
stretch run here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Toten
could be for sure.
Toten might be this year's Bucky Irving, and the
Could be.
head coach was the OC at Bucks last year. So talking about Bucky Irving, I mean, this is such a weird situation. Like they didn't place him on IR. I feel they should have just placed him on IR and moved on. He's still dealing with both injuries. It is really frustrating. They're going to ramp him up slowly, looks like it. And if he plays, Sean Tucker crushed it last week. And if Bucky plays, that backfield is a mess. Like you don't know who to start for fantasy out there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna, you really took the words out of my mouth there because I mean, if those Bucky Irving owners, if you're listening right now, I'm sorry, but I think it's going to be more of a running back by committee when he does return. And again, it's really the shoulder that's lingering now. So we think we're speculating that was a pretty significant AC sprain. Um, and yeah, he got in a little bit of limited work last week, excuse me. Today he got in some limited work. So it looks like, yeah, he's trending to possibly return this week, but still they're going to cap his reps. So I mean, I think Tucker, Rashad White, and Bucky Irving could potentially all be active and get, decent volume until because I mean they're going to be safe with Bucky. So as you've seen already. So if you have any one of the Bucks backfield members, I mean you're kind of pulling your hair out, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean it's tough.
that's a tough one. But let's hope Bucky is good. But yeah, that's frustrating out there. Let's talk about some Cardinals. They have good news. Trey Benson is projected to come back from his meniscus injury, and all signs point towards he is playing this week. But again, we don't know. We don't know officially if he's playing, but all the projections, Vegas, everything, all the numbers suggest he's back. And Demarcado, high ankle sprain, he's out for week 12. So it kind of like tells me Benson, they're confident with Benson out there.
Yeah, I would expect Trey Benson to likely return this week. Again, coming off of meniscus surgery, I don't know if he just overtakes the backfield right away. I
Slow
think,
ramp up.
Bam Knight's still going to get some play here. So I mean, if you have either, I mean, you're probably looking at just like a flex play, probably. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm interested to see how Trey Benson looks because he had the surgery in week 4. They said it was a 4 to 6 week timeline. We're beyond that point now. So hopefully that was them being conservative to really ensure that he's 100% to ready to go by the time he returns.
And I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks back as well. And most of the running backs coming back from an ankle injury or a knee injury, like bone bruise, typically have like 60 to 70% of the volume at best coming back. So even if Benson plays, yeah, like you mentioned, it's potentially the numbers suggest maybe a flex, definitely not a starter. But since both of us agree on it, he might score a touchdown this week. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
the other running back to keep an eye on, Omarion Hampton. They have a bye week and potential written after the bye week. And their other running back, Kimani, he's
right
dealing with
now.
some
Yeah.
Vidal. He's dealing with some injuries as well. I think he has a quad bruise. And do you think Hampton comes back after the bye?
I mean, by all accounts, everything we've seen, that seems to be the case. So even if it's looking like he is likely to return, they've been really conservative with this high ankle sprain. And again, like we mentioned time and time again, high ankle sprains are pretty significant, really zap your kind of cutting ability, acceleration. So I think the fact that they've been ultra conservative is a good sign. This bye week is perfect timing for them. Because they really needed after that poor performance they had last week. Go back to the drawing board. I think Omarion Hampton is likely to return, next week.
Okay. And we have to mention we got like slight news about Joe Mixon. We don't know what's happening. I think they're going to shut him out. Like we don't, nobody knows. They're not releasing what the actual injury is.
Dude, it is so like mind blowing that we don't know anything. It just says a foot injury happened away from the facility because he was placed on the NFI list, so the non-football injury happened away from the team facility. I mean, I can speculate like a few different things, but they're all pretty serious, obviously, if it's been this long. And like the GM Nick Casario said, he's working at it. Sometimes it's good, other times it'll flare up. It's like, dude, what the hell? Like, there's no like clarity in this. But I mean, at this point, if you're holding on to him, I mean, I would just cut bait because I think there's no shot he's going to return at this point. I mean, we're already at week 12 and we have no clarity whatsoever. So it really looks like Woody marks his backfield. Really, I know he's kind of emerged as the guy from here on out. Chubb will still get goal line carries, change of pace back, but if you have to have one Texans running back at this point, it's Woody.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some wide receivers. Calvin Ridley, broken fibula, comes back. I truly feel like I think I mentioned Titans might pull off the upset against the Texans last week. I feel if Ridley was healthy and didn't get injured in the first play from return, I think there's a good chance Titans would have won that game.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking about you the whole time because I was driving, but I was kind of scoreboard watching. I was like, damn, that game is close, especially the first half. Not much happened. Broken fibula, it's something that I myself suffered. Just classic, it's a pretty easy injury to kind of rehab and recover. You just get it fixated with a plate and screws. Classic surgical timeline, probably 6 to 8 weeks before he can start, putting weight on it and starting to do return to sport activity. But should be back next year without any problems. But we'll see if he's still on Tennessee. Could be on another team. Who knows?
Drake London out for week 12. That came out today. PCL sprain, and there's a chance he could miss multiple weeks. That's a little concerning.
Very concerning. One of the PCL injuries that we were kind of following throughout this year has been Ricky Pearsall. And I mean, look how much difficulty he had returning to the field with that multi-week injury. Your PCL really affects your ability to decelerate and cutting. So kind of route running is pretty significant with that. So I expect this to be a multi-week injury. So I mean, like we mentioned, just it's a mess out there in Atlanta. So I mean, stock up a little bit to probably Darnell Mooney and probably
Yeah,
Kyle Pitts, but still, I mean, you're not going to just pick up Mooney, throw him in your lineup, and hope for 20 points because I don't really see that happening. But Mooney could be maybe a speculative ad if he's out there on the waiver wire because you want to see his rapport with Kirk Cousins first.
yeah. And Marvin Harrison rolled out for this week. I think that's typical, 1 to 2 weeks. We predicted that. and he should be back for week 13. Brandon Ayuk, the return window is not open yet. It's been 13 months since his surgery. It's so
Yeah.
weird. Again, that's like it just screams like they want to just trade him after the season. They don't want to even play him this week or this season.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we had a video out like in the preseason and he looked pretty good, like
Yeah,
in
he
the
was cutting
preseason
and
running
running.
routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure what's going on. They haven't activated his practice window like you mentioned. So, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't expect too much, even if he were to return. I mean, it's either like you mentioned, they're just looking to cut bait with him, or there's still some maybe structural concerns. But based off that video we saw way back when, I don't really think that's, true. But I mean, again, we don't really have sources out there, so we're just kind of speculating.
Yeah. And the other wide receiver trying to come back, Brian Thomas Jr., he missed back-to-back weeks. Eye ankle sprain. I don't know. I don't think he plays this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, high ankle sprains, we've touched upon it so many times. They're pretty significant injuries, minimum like 2 to 4 weeks, potentially up to 6 weeks. And, even if he does play, I mean, I wouldn't trust him in my lineup at this point. But I'm with you. I'd be kind of surprised if he plays this week. But even if he were to play, he's not someone I would trust in my lineup.
Them signing Jacoby Myers told us a lot about the injury severity for Brian Thomas out there. Okay,
Yep.
let's jump on to tight ends. Dalton Kincaid. Oh my God, Josh Allen can't get a break. Kincaid has a couple of good games. He's out. He's considered week to week and potential like multiple week out here. He might miss because of this hamstring strain.
Yeah, I mean it looked pretty bad when he suffered that injury. I mean, he grabbed kind of right at like the base of his glute or butt muscle. That's hamstring, that's classic hamstring. Week to week signifies it's probably a grade two, honestly, if I'm just speculating. So that's why I don't, they ruled him out very early for the Thursday night football. I would be pretty surprised if he returns next week. But yeah, I mean, these soft tissue injuries, they suck. So yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's just
Unfortunate.
gonna have to do. He'll have to
Yeah.
score another 5, 6 touchdowns by himself.
Every game out there. Two tight ends were placed on IR. This would be oh my God. First, it was the Green Bay tight end. Now, Sam Laporta placed on IR with a back injury. Tyler Higbee placed on IR with an ankle injury. Frustrating for tight ends. Like, especially Sam Laporta had one good game. People are holding on to him.
Yeah, I mean, and like a back injury is brutal for those that are on the like anywhere on the line really, because you're taking a lot of like extension force through your spine. Um, and I mean, I think we saw, and granted, my Eagles defense is pretty solid, but we think we saw how limited the Lions offense would be or is without Sam Laporta. And Tyler Higbee, I mean, the Rams run 13 personnel more than any other team in the league. So I think they're still likely to run 13 personnel. That's what they did against your Seahawks. They just kind of put in the next tight end. But yeah, unfortunate for Tyler Higbee. It didn't really seem too bad of an ankle injury, but IR, so he'll be out for the next 4 weeks. So that's pretty much leading us right to the fantasy playoffs here.
Yep. And good news for tight end Brenton Strange. He's potentially coming back from his quad injury this week. Again, it's tough. We'll see what Trevor Lawrence does. But before his injury, Strange did get like 6 to 7 targets, like
Yeah.
on a decent regular basis out here. So that might be a good news, some kind of good news for the Jaguars.
Yeah, possibly. I think he showed a pretty strong rapport with Trevor Lawrence, like you mentioned. First game back, just expect a small snap count limit. But with like the kind of the dearth of tight ends out there, I mean, if you've had him on IR and you don't really have other better options, I mean, say a prayer and throw him in there.
Yep. And we don't have a defensive player highlight this week, but it's an offensive line. Your boy Lane Johnson. Liz Frank injury. What, out for 6 weeks? Do you think like how does Liz Frank affect offensive linemen? Because we've always seen like running backs getting affected by Liz Frank and they can't come back anytime soon. Does that change for an offensive line? Because they're actually not like running, they're more like stabilizing out there. So
It's a little different, but it's still a very significant injury. And as we kind of talked about last week, Lane Johnson had like a high ankle sprain. He was able to come back against Green Bay, but it was the same leg that he has the Liz Frank on now. And I mean, a Liz Frank, especially with offensive linemen, they need to backpedal and really slam that foot in the ground in order to stabilize themselves in preparation for the defensive lineman kind of rushing at them. So it's a pretty significant injury. It's really the ligament that kind of holds your midfoot together. Little fun fact, it actually goes from Napoleon's doctor when his cavalrymen, when they were on horses, when they would get thrown from their horses, their foot would get caught in their stirrup and it would kind of disrupt that ligament. So that's kind of where, it was Dr. Jacques Lisfranc or something like that. So nice
Okay,
little, if you're ever
there you
on
go.
Jeopardy, credit me.
Or a bar trivia at a
Yeah.
random place. There you
Yes.
go. That's your trivia for the day. So that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully, this helped. And keep an eye on for Morse's video, either Friday morning or Thursday night. That'll be our final injury report leading up to week 12. Hopefully, like a lot of good players coming back, that helps. But we'll keep you updated. And my name is Rahul, and this is Dave. Fourth and goal. We'll see you guys next week.